George Earthy has returned to Bristol City, and if rumours are to be believed, Delano Burgzorg is on his way from Middlesbrough as well. He might have even signed by the time that you're watching this video, by the sounds of it. We're going to go through both of those signings in this video. George Earthy returning to the football club then. This was, I mentioned it on a video probably a couple of weeks ago now, and this was first, broken by BCFC Shags on Twitter a good couple of weeks ago now. I recommend, I'll leave a link to the Twitter in the description. Deactivates from time to time, but it's a really good source of insider Bristol City information. So George Earthy has returned to the football club on loan, and to be honest, feels like he is part of the club already. You know, I don't know. It just feels like a player's come back from injury, really, with you know, how recently he was at the club. A decent signing. I'm not going to badmouth George Earthy because I think he's a good lad and a decent player. This is my opinion of him. I thought he was okay last season. One thing I will say, though, to say more positive things, because I'm just really trying to be positive about this one, I think he'll be better in a Gerhard Struber system than Liam Manning. I think one thing this system might be missing is a player that can play at real speed. Now, that's not necessarily saying that the player themselves needs to have raw pace. It just means that they can play really quick football. I think Struber, the style of football that he really wants is to play as fast and as high intensity as possible, right? And I think that's what George Earthy offers. I think he's also a really good presser from the front as well. So he's got a couple of qualities there that I think really suit the Struber system, and he has said that himself. You can see the quote there. I would say, though, and he's obviously really popular with the fan base. I really like him as well. I just want to safely say that. I mean, the 2 goals he scored against Borough, I think, really set us on a pathway to playoffs last season. That game was I feel like a real momentum shift with us, you know, with what Tommy Conway did after the first goal, and then Earthy replicate. We all know what he did with the celebration, right? It really set the stall for the rest of our season. But beyond that Middlesbrough game, he contributed, but he didn't do a whole lot more, in my opinion. Now, one thing I would say is that he definitely grew in confidence during the loan spell he had with us. Before that Borough game, he was a bit of a passenger, really, in most games. Young lad, you know, playing in front of big crowds and stuff. It's a lot, and it takes a little bit of time. Certainly took him a little bit of time to build confidence. But one thing I would say, as the season went on after that Borough game, he really looked to increase in confidence. And I feel like the loan move for him personally is a good one. And I think what we're getting, at least from January, now the loan starts, of course, was a more confident George Earthy than the one that we first signed under Liam Manning. So that's my positives about him. I would just say, though, you know, again, other than that Borough game, I'm not sure quite how much he really contributed in terms of goals and assists. And one thing I would say about what we need players, I think, that can contribute with goals and assists. I hope that Earthy is that man, and you can clip me up saying that I don't think he contributed all that much in terms of goals and assists, but it's fairly factual, really. The only couple of goals, maybe the odd goal assist outside of that Borough game, but the main contribution from him was that Borough game. So I am happy to have him in here at the club again. He's going to make a good part of the squad. The players clearly like him. When he signed, the announcement was made, there are a fair few Bristol City players sharing it on social media. You can tell he's a good lad, part of the group already. And also, I think during the season, if I'm not mistaken, on one of the international breaks, they all went over to London to have dinner with him as well. There were definitely some players I saw on social media doing that as well. So I'm okay with the signing. I like George Earthy. Let's hope he can perform. Burgzorg then. We're in a little bit before it is announced. That assumes that it is going to be announced. By the looks of Twitter, some of the popular Middlesbrough accounts, and Luke Ayling on his Instagram story as well, it looks like Burgzorg could be on his way to the club. So I thought I'd do a little player profile so people can get to know a little bit more about him. I'll do that, and then I'll give my opinion on the signing like I did with Earthy. I'm trying to be as positive as I can about these, so I want to put a positive spin on this because it's new players at the football club, right? We should be happy, I think, to see new players at the football club, right? So he's 27, born in the Netherlands, 6'1". He's a forward/attacking midfielder, which basically means I think he can be a versatile player across sort of the front positions for us. Currently holds the number 10 shirt at Middlesbrough, and you can see his club history there. So he started in the Netherlands, moved to Spezia in Italy, then Almelo in the Eredivisie in Holland, moved to Mainz, loaned to Huddersfield and then signed permanently for Middlesbrough in June 2024 on a 4-year deal. This season, he's played in 22 games for Middlesbrough, 1 goal and 2 assists. So across his career, 220 matches, 34 goals, 11 assists. I think his main attribute is his versatility. And to be fair, I said what I probably want from us this window is maybe one player that could kind of help across the front line. So Burgzorg could definitely play in the number 10 position. Could definitely probably play out wide for us if he needs to. And he can play the centre forward position as well. He's not like I wouldn't say he's a specialist in any of those positions. He's kind of a consistent, I wouldn't say consistent, but someone who can do it all. Jack of all trades, if you like. Just go back to it. I think one of the things that might hold up this move from happening over the next couple of days is I'm led to believe that Borough are a little bit short in their forward positions at the moment. They have just signed Leo Castledine, who for me was one of the targets I mentioned in my previous video. Shame to see him go to Borough. But with him, maybe we could get Burgzorg in, hopefully for the Oxford game. As I understand it, he might not. Well, he hasn't been announced yet, and you need to register a player before 12 p.m. in order to use them the day after. So for him to be able to play in the cup against Watford, the game will probably be over by the time you watch this video, but he'll need to be registered 12 p.m. on Friday. So I doubt we'll see that. Went through his basic career stats there, didn't we? And this is his sort of scouting report from FB Ref. It gives you an idea, I think, of the characteristics and strengths and weaknesses of a player. So this is basically the percentile shows where the player sits as a percentile within players of a similar position around the world. So in terms of non-penalty goals, he's in the bottom quarter. So scoring goals not from a penalty, bottom quarter of players in his position. Expected goals, so the number of chances that he actually gets, one at the top. Same for number of shots. So he has a lot of chances, but the fact that he doesn't necessarily score goals as much suggests that he might not be the most clinical. It does look like, well, I guess you see the other stat that he excels on here is touches in the attacking penalty area. He excels for that, but I'd say that's probably as much down to him as a player as the teams that he's played at, in terms of touches in the penalty area. And what I quite like is towards the bottom in terms of tackles per 90 and aerial duels won. He's pretty good at that. So he seems like he's quite a physical player. He seems to have a bit of pace about him, a bit of physicality, which I think we are missing in some of our players in the front line. You think of Anis and Twine, none of them you would say are like real athletes as such. So he does bring that to his game, and he's pretty good from a tackling point of view as well. That might again be down to a little bit tactics from the the manager that he had at the time, asking him to do that, but it's also maybe a characteristic that he has as a player. Just go back to his career stats to run it off. So it's probably a player in a position that we need, and his stats across his career are not great, right? I mean, 34 goals from 220 matches, when I think most Bristol City fans want to see a goal scorer come into the club. He's had a tough time of it at Borough this season by the looks of it. 3 attacking returns from 22 appearances. But I do think these are the characteristics of a player that I think we need. I'm not going to be too negative about it. I don't think we're necessarily showing, well, we aren't, are we? I mean, Borough spent $2 million on Castledine, who I think the numbers show is probably would have been a better signing than Burgzorg, in my opinion. Well, I think Borough think that as well. They're signing Castledine and probably letting Burgzorg go to us. We've also got Neto Borges on loan from Middlesbrough as well. So 2 players that kind of they don't want, if that makes sense. Well, you can cast your own opinions on Neto Borges, but it maybe shows the ambition that we're showing in comparison to Middlesbrough. But at the same time, I'm giving this guy a chance, definitely. I think he shows, like I said, characteristics of a player that I think we probably want, and it may just be that he wasn't necessarily performing at Middlesbrough, and we can, in Struber, can really get a tune out of him. So, yeah, I'm relatively happy with both of the signings. I don't think it shows necessarily nailed on Premier League ambition. You can let me know what you think of them in the comments, but I will always back players that play for Bristol City. I think these lads could contribute to the squad, and at the end of the day, that's probably what we want, isn't it? Probably not absolute Premier League ambition, and to be honest, I think the signings that we've made this January, Morsey, Earthy and Burgzorg, probably also suggest the transfer budget that's available, which is basically zero. But there we are. That's the nature of Bristol City, isn't it? We always like to go through Januaries on low budgets. I might be wrong there, but anyway, I'll leave it there for now. All right, well, that's the end of the video. Quick little update there on Earthy and Burgzorg. Let me know what you think of the two signings in the comments down below. And yeah, I think that's everything. I did say on my Twitter that I was taking a little break, but I had Saturday morning off. I couldn't really think of anything else to do. And Bristol City are looking, they've signed one player very close to another by the sounds of it. So I thought I'd make a quick video on it. All right, I think that's everything. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Robin's Nest. Should be just there on your screen. And I'll be back, hopefully, when we make a new signing. I'll see you in the next one.